Hello everybody. Today I will be talking regarding the functions areas of cerebral cortex. Definitely today you are going to learn and enjoy the topic because human brain always been the key interest of everyone, especially in the field of medicine. Many things has been done over it and many things yet to do. So we will be talking over the topic on the following heading. We'll go through the introduction, then we will see the regions of the functions area. In the region, we will see the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, and other areas. And simultaneously, we will talk about the clinical anatomy. So, this cerebral cortex that we study, earlier it was studied on that was an old method, and in that old method, the area, this cortex area was divided in the three parts, in a three regions. One, the sensory area, another motor area, and third one is the association area. So the sensory areas are those from where the afferent nerve comes. That's afferent fibers from the thalamus. So this is the sensory area. And other area is the motor area. Motor area is that from where the projection fibers comes out. Clear? And these projections fibers are the pyramidal fibers. So the pyramidal fibers are what? They are corticospinal tract. They are corticonuclear tracts. So these are the pyramidal fibers. Whereas the association area is that area in the cerebral cortex. As its name, this area is an association area. So it gets associated with the sensory area as well as motor area. So whatever the input from the sensory area, whatever the output have to go from the motor area, these all get integrated at the association area. So this association area is the maximum part of the cerebral cortex, and it is approximately occupy the 75% part of the cerebral cortex. So the new method we will see, this new method that we follow in our study is this Brodmann's area. Clear? So this Brodmann's area, actually this Brodmann area in the cerebral cortex, it was given by the anatomist, a very famous anatomy. He has given this Brodmann area in 1909, and that anatomist was the Corbanian Brodmann. So the Corbanian Brodmann, he studied the human brain, that in human as well as in the monkey. Corbanian Brodmann studied the human as well as monkey's brain, and he taken the section of the brain. Studied by taking the sections of the brain, and that section of the brain of that cerebral cortex, it was stained by the dye, aniline dye. So this aniline dye, it stained the cell body. So that cell body, in this cell body, the RNA, it gets stained with this aniline dye and gives an appearance of the granulated appearance. So accordingly, the area was correlated with the other areas, and this way he studied the human brain as well as the brain of the monkey and given the different areas. So total 52 Brodmann's areas are known. Out of this 52, 44 we see in the human. Clear? And 8 areas in non-human primate. Clear? So this non-human primate. Later, many other scientists studied over it, and they have given 109 areas, some given 200 areas, but we follow the Brodmann's rule. Clear? So all this area we can see here. See, this is the, so here we can see this is the cerebral hemisphere, and you can see this is the superior, this is one is a superior lateral view. Clear? And this one is a inferior medial view. Clear? So here you can clearly see all these area here and here, all these areas have been given by the number. So all these numbers, so you can see number 6, 4, 4, 47, 38. Similarly in this inferior medial view. So all have the number. So all the areas are having the number except, remember, except number 12, Brodmann's number 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 26, 29, 48, 49, 50 and 51. We do not see these area in the human brain. Clear? Am I clear? Before I go in the detail of the topic, let's get review of the areas, these important landmark in the cerebral cortex, in the cerebral hemisphere. So here, this one, what you see is the central sulcus. So this one is the central sulcus. Okay. So what do this central sulcus do? Central sulcus. Actually, central sulcus divide this hemisphere into the lobe. So the lobe which is anterior to this one is the frontal lobe, which is in yellow color, and the lobe which is posterior to this are three different lobes we will see according to its anatomical position. So it's, see, as we do when we see the any geographical area over the map. So how we study the geographical areas in the map? We study the geographical areas in the map as east, west, north, south, latitude and altitude. Clear? So this is the concept for studying any geographical area. So similarly in the anatomy, we use the term what? Anterior, posterior, medial, lateral, superior, inferior, superficial and deep. Clear? This is the basic concept, and in your paper, in your examination, if some area is asked or you want to define something, you have to define accordingly to this, which structure or which area is present on the relation to the other areas. Clear? This is the basic concept. Now let's go ahead to the topic. So this is the central sulcus, and you seen this is the frontal lobe, and here what you see, this one is in the this color, it's pink. So this one is the parietal lobe. So this one is the parietal lobe, and posterior to this parietal lobe here, this one is an occipital lobe, and this lobe which is posterior inferiorly present here, this one is the temporal lobe. So the area, so this is the gyrus. The elevation one is the gyrus and the depression one is the sulcus. You might be knowing all this, what is sulcus and what is gyrus, because it already has been taught to you. So this area which is anterior to the central sulcus is the precentral gyrus. This is a precentral gyrus, and anterior to this precentral gyrus you see this is the frontal gyrus, and this frontal gyrus here divided into three. So this one, the one which is superiorly present is the superior frontal gyrus, this one is the middle frontal gyrus, and this one is the inferior frontal gyrus. And this inferior frontal gyrus, further it is divided into this pars opercularis, and the anterior one is pars triangularis, and Anterior to this pars triangularis is the pars orbitalis. Clear? So this is about the frontal lobe. Now let's see in the parietal lobe. So posterior to the central sulcus, this sulcus is the post central, just posterior to this central sulcus, this area is the post central gyrus. Clear? And posterior to this post central gyrus, this region is the superior parietal lobe. This one is the superior parietal lobe, SPL in short. And below to this, here, this is the inferior parietal lobes, and these two important gyrus. See, these are the two important gyrus. This anterior one, this gyrus is known as superior marginal gyrus, and the posterior one is angular gyrus. Whereas in this occipital lobe, here you see this is a very important sulcus. Actually, this sulcus is known as, here, see, this is the lunate sulcus. So this is the lunate sulcus, and anterior to this lunate sulcus is the parieto. This one is a parieto-occipital sulcus. Clear? Why I am reviewing you all these important landmarks? Because in the coming slides we will talk about the Brodmann's area, and so when you are writing in your paper about any Brodmann area, then you have to define that area using these important landmarks. Clear? So now in this temporal lobe, here, this what we see, this one, this is the lateral sulcus, and this lateral sulcus here, this upper part of this lateral sulcus is the upper lip, and this lower one is the lower lip. And this, what you see, this one is the ramus, and this ramus which I am indicating is known as posterior ramus, whereas this ramus, this is the posterior ramus of lateral sulcus, and this is an ascending, this one is an ascending ramus, okay, of lateral sulcus, and this one is an horizontal ramus of lateral sulcus. Clear? So inferior to this, here we see an important gyrus. This is the superior temporal gyrus, and then further as you go inferior to the superior one, you will see, you can see this one is the middle temporal gyrus, and below to this is a inferior temporal gyrus. So these are the important landmarks. Now we begin the topic with the Brodmann's mapping. Brodmann's area in the short we write as BA. Clear? So as you know, this is the central sulcus. So anterior to this central sulcus, this is the precentral gyrus. Precentral gyrus. So in this precentral gyrus, Brodmann's area number 4. So this Brodmann's area number 4 is primary motor area. This is the primary motor area. Before I go ahead, let me clear you, this Brodmann area, they do not exactly follow these sulci and gyri. They do follow, but with little deviation and variation. So this primary motor area, it hears and it extends this way like this, and it like this way. Clear? Now next area is premotor area. Anterior to primary motor area, here, this is the premotor area, Brodmann's area number 6, and it extends this way. It is, see here on its superior aspect, it is broad, and as we are moving inferiorly, so it gets narrow. Clear? This is premotor area, Brodmann's area number 6, and this one is 4. Now next area is this premotor area have extra pyramidal fibers. As you know, this area is middle frontal gyrus. So on the posterior aspect of this middle frontal gyrus, here this region is for the frontal eye field, Brodmann's area number 8, and this Brodmann's area number 8 further it involved this superior frontal gyrus here. This is Brodmann's area number 8, frontal eye field. Clear? So we have seen this. Now next is this supplementary area, and this supplementary area we write in a short as capital M, then with a small s, and this number 2, where capital M represent it is primary motor, this M represent this primary motor, and S represent it is secondary sensory. Clear? M for motor, S for sensory. Now this area number 4, 6, 8 and the supplementary area, so these 3 area they have their extension on the medial aspect also, medial aspect of this cerebral hemisphere, as well as this area, this supplementary area also we see on the medial aspect. So we will see this in the coming image. So the next area is the motor speech area. This Brodmann's number, it has a Brodmann's number 44 and 45. 44 is present here in this pars opercularis, and 45 is present here in this pars triangularis. Prefrontal area is represented by Brodmann's area number 9, 10 and 11. Clear? This area number 9, it extends from here superior frontal gyrus, then it move toward the area number 8, then further here it takes down and then move again to area number 6. So this region is for the Brodmann's area number 9, and Brodmann's area number 10, it extend, it's begin from here and this is the Brodmann's area number 10. Brodmann's area number 47, this is Brodmann's area number 47. This is Brodmann's area number 46. Clear? So Brodmann's area number 46, anteriorly it has Brodmann's area number 10. Now this is the Brodmann's area number 46. Now we can see all these area. Now I'm going to highlight all these area. You can see this just after this. Now we can clearly see all the Brodmann's area in the frontal lobe with clearly demarcated with different colors. So this 9th, 10th, 11th is for the this 9th, 10th and 11th prefrontal area, whereas this 44 and 45 is for motor speech area. This 44 and 45 is for the motor speech area, and this motor speech area 44 and 45 is also known as Broca's areas. They are also known as Broca's area. This is very important for your professional examination. This is often asked, Broca's area. Clear? Now we will see the Brodmann's area in this parietal lobe. So here in this post central gyrus, here we see primary sensory area. Here this primary sensory area. So this primary sensory area here, the Brodmann number is 3, 1 and 2. 3, 1 and 2, and this number 3, 1 and 2 are numbered from before backward. Clear? So the anterior one is the area number 3, the middle one will be the area, this area number 1, Brodmann's area number 1, and the posterior here in this post central gyrus is the area number 2. Clear? So this is somatosensory area. This is somatosensory area, and here this is represented by capital S, small m with number 1. So S represent the primary sensory and M represent the secondary motor. Clear? This primary sensory area inferiorly, it is limited up to here, and to the inferior part of this primary sensory area, here we see the secondary sensory area here, and this is represented by this capital S, small m, and with number 2. Clear? So this, in this region, the anterior part of this is motor, whereas the posterior part here is the sensory. Clear? Let me write down more clearly. See, it has to be, see, capital S, the small m, and then number 2, and this is the secondary sensory area. Clear? Posterior to this primary sensory area, here we see Brodmann's area number 5. This Brodmann's area number 5 is present posterior to the primary sensory area in the superior parietal lobe. This is Brodmann's area number 5, and posterior to this Brodmann's number 5, here this all we see, this one is the area number 7, and this area number 7, it involve all this. Clear? So this area number 7 and area number 5 together they known as sensory association area. Clear? This sensory association area. Now a very important area which is often asked in the examination and in the viva is sensory speech area of Wernicke. Sensory speech area of Wernicke. This is Brodmann's area number 39. This one is present in this angular gyrus, and the Brodmann's area number 40 present in the supramarginal gyrus. Clear? So 39 and 40 together are Wernicke's area. Now I am going to highlight all these area in this parietal lobe, then you can clearly make out the difference between the each area. This Brodmann's area number 40 is also known as higher association. See, is also known as higher association area. Actually this area number 40, it establishes a good connection with the area number 7 and area number 5. So when we will talk about this function of the stereognosis, then it has a huge importance. So right now just know it has a good connection with area number 5 and 7. So we have seen all the important areas over the superolateral surface of the hemisphere, and yet we have to see the extension of this area number 6, this area number 4, 6, 8, and the presence of this supplementary area. So these areas are present, these have an extension on the medial aspect of this hemisphere, as well as this primary sensory area. This also has an extension on the medial aspect of this hemisphere, that we will see in the next slide. So this Brodmann's area number 4, this 4, this is present on the anterior of this paracentral lobule. Anterior to this 4 here is the area number 6, and anterior to this 6 is the area number 8. So area number 8, Brodmann's area present here in this here anterior to this 6, whereas this important area which is still left, this is the supplementary area. This is the supplementary area represented as capital M, MS, this. So this is present here on the medial aspect of this frontal gyrus, and it has a good connection with area number 6 and area number 8. And this posterior to this paracentral lobule, here we see the area number 3 1 and 2. As I've said earlier, this is present before backward. So this area is the primary sensory area. Clear? So we can demarcate the region of Brodmann's area number 3, 1 and 2. In the next video we will see the Brodmann's mapping in this occipital lobe and temporal lobe.